what got you what well, first of all, how did you hook up with the Bay City Roller or with Bay City Roller guy?
Well, I
Was
was a as a kid, my favorite band was the Bay City Rollers. I had four favorite bands. I remember 1974 saying my favorite bands are Kiss, the Beatles, ABBA, and the Bay City Rollers. And the Bay City Rollers was my tops. I liked them the best of all. And so I always had all their records, loved the music, loved their look, just loved that they were from Scotland. My legal last name is McLeod. So we're like, Highlanders, and we've got our own castle on the Isle of Skye just for the McLeod clan. So I always wanted to go there. And then when I finally started reaching out, because in 2020, the Alameda fires here in Oregon and Cali took out our storage units. I lost everything, including my Bay City Rollers collection. So I thought maybe I can try to get some autographed stuff by reaching out on the internet, seeing where these guys are today. And hey, maybe I can interview them on my radio show. That'd be cooler even. So that's what I did. I started joining every Bay City Roller group I could find, like 50 or 100. I joined them all. And I put the same letter. Hey, my name is so-and-so. I'm in Oregon, lost my stuff in a fire, blah, blah, blah. I want to try to get in touch, get autograph stuff, interviews. Was immediately met with the most mentally ill, weirdo, compulsive, delusional, mean-spirited, sadistic, asshole women you've ever met in your life, called the Bay City Roller fans. Now, my disclaimer is this. Not all Bay City Roller fans, women or men, are assholes or mental, but a large majority definitely are. I'd say 80%. So there's 20% that I'm good friends with too, that are just beautiful people that I love. But these roller groups, stay away unless you want to have mental issues when you walk away. So I ended up getting letters from people saying, oh, you're a liar. You just want to make money off these guys. Oh, yeah, sure. You lost your stuff in a fire. Another lady who did a podcast and was interviewing them, the guys. Oh, sorry, that territory is already covered and all this stuff. Just blatant assholism, dude. And I was like, really? Well, that just made me want to do it even more. So I did. I kept going and kept going and kept going until I finally had people reached out from those groups going, hey, I personally know Woody. Hey, I know Les McEwen. Hey, I know Pat McGlynn. I know Duncan. I know Nobby. And I started getting emails and phone numbers and people connecting me. And so all the assholes would go behind my back to the same people I was setting up interviews with and say, whatever you do, don't trust Derek Moody / Bloody Mess. This guy's shady. He's going to rip you off. And these guys are all paranoid because they've been through the ringer with everything you can think of. And they're very paranoid, all of them. And so that freaked him out at first, and it cock-blocked me for a minute, but then it didn't, because I'm not like that, and I'm not shady, and I'm not a ripoff, and all you mentally ill roller fans need to shrink. Anyway,
yes,
and yeah, and also a good ass whipping, Jesus.
yeah.
But so long story short, I ended up getting a hold of a lot of the guys that were in different versions of the Rollers. They had three different singers. Nobby Clark, the original, who I interviewed and got some great autographed and great stuff from. Les McEwen in the famous version. And then Duncan Fora from the last three albums, which are brilliant. So they're all great singers. I'm a fan of all those guys. I'm a fan of every Bay City Roller era. Love them all. But these fan bases, they have their favorites, right? And that's where the problems start. Woody's fans hate Alan's fans who hate... Well, Alan Longmire started the band. His son is Jordan Longmire. I reached out to Jordan. Hey, man, want to come on my show and talk about your pops and blah, blah, blah. Me and him ended up becoming like this, dude. Really good friends. So when I went to Scotland, I hooked up with Jordan, partied with Jordan, invited him to come to the States. He'd never been on any records or been in a studio at all. Came over and sang on Baby Please Don't Go on my album. He did that in one take. He had never sang in his life.
Wow.
And he killed it.
I mean, it's a standard, what did you say? It's like the most covered song, most covered
blues song of all time, bro. Because when we did the album, I said, hey, we're going to do a collaboration together. You want to come over to the States, go with me and make it be a part of the whole thing with me, do a video? He's like, yeah. And I go, you pick the cover we're going to do. Let's do a cover song together. It'd be easier than, if you don't sing or write. And I do. Let's just do a cover. He says, Baby, Please Don't Go. I'm like, fine. Because AC/DC did a cover. And so did so many great bands. The Amboy Dukes killed it. Yeah. And so I decided that's great. And Dave Moe knocked it out in like 3 days. He sends me recorded. Here you go. Here's the music all done. And Alex Moore did drums on that one. But
I'll be your dog. I'll be your dog. Be your dog. Kiss you way down there. Make you walk alone, baby, please.
But back to the Bay City Rollers. So once I began interviewing these guys one at a time on my radio shows, Pat McGlynn and I started becoming very close. I mean, like bros, like calling each other on the phone, doing video messages, like this every day.
Yeah.
Email every day for like a year solid. Like we became really tight, dude. And he hadn't done interviews in like decades. So everyone's like, whoa, this guy has got Pat McGlynn. There was like just thousands and thousands of views, 15, 20,000 views quickly. There's a lot. And Pat came on the show over and over. And then he sends me a song called Tonight I Pray, which is on this Skies Are Blue that I did, right? And Pat's married to Janine Andrews, who was a famous, very famous UK model back in the day. And she's been in some James Bond films, including Octopussy. So Janine Andrews is a beautiful person I have nothing bad to say about. Her and Pat have been married since like the 80s, or together since the 80s, when she was singing backups for the Bay City Rollers, and at other times opening up for them in like Australia and places. I started managing Pat, and I'm not going to sit here and diss on Pat. It's a whole nother complete different story. But Pat's got some demons, and I knew about those. He was very transparent from the get-go. I got to give him credit for that. He told me straight up, I have mental illness. But he would say, I'm nuts. I'm really messed up, man. And I said, it's okay, bro. So am I, kind of. And, but when I went to stay with Pat for 2 weeks, me and Tracy, it was a whole different level of reality, because you don't really get to know somebody in just a year, 6 months or a year. People think you do, but you don't. It takes a while to get to know somebody for them to let their guard down completely. And you have to spend time physically with somebody. You can talk on the internet all day long for years, but if you're not physically with them and picking up on how their mannerisms are and how they are, you interact with that energy they have and their temperaments and all that, it's not the same. So when I was there for 2 weeks.
Yeah. What do they say? Like you get to know somebody really well when you travel with them. That's
because you see how they react in terms of when they get stressed. If something stressful happens, are they going to freak out? Are they going to be calm? Are they going to be, easy to get along with? Are they going to be picky and whiny? Are they going to be, do they roll with the flow kind of people or not? In this world, you got to go with the flow. That's what I do. So what it is, the key is unattachment. And if you can understand that, which anybody, obviously the concept, it's hard to do though, to be unattached, very, very difficult. But when I lost my stuff in that fire, and some of the other stuff I've been through in my life, which are real hardcore, it's the traumatic stuff, I'm not attached to much, bro. You could take me out of this house right now, put me in another house in any city, and within a day, I'll figure out the positives, and I'm adjusted. I'm good. Yeah, it's just the way I am, bro. I just don't attach myself, and therefore, I'm not real sentimental like I used to be either. I just don't feel like, I think time is all happening at the same time, past, present, and future. It's not how we think it is. And it's easier to deal with grief too when you don't have those attachment issues. So it's a lot easier for me to deal with death because I understand the comprehension of death, and that this is just a bus ride. We're taking a trip in a bus called the body. Next stop, death. But it's not death. It's just the next stop. It's another door opening. There's nothing to fear, literally, except fear itself. And so, those things keep me in check, dude. And when I was over there in Scotland, man, I realized, I love Pat. He's a great guy, but these demons are even more than I can deal with, man, because it was coming out in paranoia, delusions, then betrayal, all kinds of weirdness that I could go on to for a long time. And it's highly interesting. But while we were there, we ended up doing this radio show, Angel. It's a Steve Mack radio show. There's like 100,000 listeners every week to this show. And it's people from like 15, 20 countries. And it's real big. Roller Mania on a Saturday, Roller Mania on a Friday night, I think it's called. But I was on the show. I booked Pat to go on there and play his acoustic guitar and do some songs. But he said he'll only do it if I would sing, because he was deathly afraid of singing and doing that. He was like just out of the game. I said, okay, I'll do one with you, bro. We'll do Keep On Dancing, the original Rollers hit that Nobby Clark had done in the first incarnation. He's like, okay, but you got to sit up there and, be with me and hang with me. He was very insecure about doing it, which I understand. And that's not uncommon. But once we did that, which you can watch that videos on YouTube of me and Pat singing that song on that Scottish show. It's on YouTube.
Come on, dancing and the prancing. Keep on dancing and the prancing. Keep on dancing and the prancing. Keep on dancing. Keep on dancing. Yeah, keep on doing the trick. Shake it.
once we did that, Jordan Longmire showed up because I invited Jordan because these roller nuts had been telling people on the radio that Alan Longmire had only had one wife and that was it, never been married before that, thereby discluding the fact that he was married twice and never admitting that Jordan was even his son. So I brought Jordan there. I said, come to the radio show. We're going to put you on the air and introduce you as Alan's son. And it's going to blow this guy's whole bullshit thing he's been saying. And he freaked. The guy freaked. And Jordan's like, haha, you're a good friend, mate. And Pat McGlynn, he's obnoxious too. He's like, yeah, man, invite Jordan. So we invited Jordan and it busted this bubble and everybody got weird. And Pat ended up having to play all these songs by himself because me and Jordan clicked. So while Pat was being treated like a rock star and I was being treated like dirt, didn't even get an intro when I sang. No one acknowledged I was singing. It was really weird. So I ended up going back over and sitting by Jordan during the whole thing, and Pat played all this whole set, and he was fucking livid because I literally sat 6 feet away from him. And then we went to a bar afterwards, and all these people, like all these hardcore fans, are all around Patty's at a table. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and do this. He's my friend. I'm not going to sit here and listen to these crazy people asking the same questions. I'm going to go out here and have go have some good times with my buddy Jordan, smoke some weed. So me and Jordan and Tracy are out there smoking out, and he's talking about Scotland. And, Pat ended up taking that as a big, big offense. He got really, really mad at me for having the nerve to leave the bar for 20 minutes while he was with 50 of his fans talking to him. He wouldn't even have known I was there. So when I got back on the airplane to leave, eventually, Angel, I see an email that he sends to one of his hardcore fans that hates me. And she's always telling him, don't trust him. Don't trust Bloody. And Pat sends her a letter. It says, and this is after he gives me a hug and tells me he loves me when I leave, right? Tells her an hour later, yep, you're right about Derek Moody. He's out of the picture now. And this chick sends me a screenshot. It's like, yeah, ha, ha, you showed your true colors. Pat told me. I'm like, oh my God, I did nothing wrong at all. But it goes way deeper than all this, way deeper. But Pat went off the deep end, and in his mind, I betrayed him by being friends with Jordan Longmire, because Jordan Longmire's uncle, this is really going to get controversial now on you. Jordan Longmire's uncle was the drummer of the Bay City Rollers.
Oh,
and Alan Longmire was his brother. These guys kind of started the band together, but Alan is credited with it. Derek is the guy that SA'd Pat McGlynn many, many times.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And many other people. The guy was arrested. He was it's public record. He's got a pedophile. He's got I meant to say that FILE. He's in the court system. He's on the UK sex registry. The guy was busted with one of the biggest amounts of child, in UK history, the drummer of the Bay City Rollers. And that's Jordan Longmire's uncle. And this guy, when Pat McGlynn joined the Rollers, he was regularly being drugged by these guys, namely Pam Payton, the manager, and Derek Longmire, the drummer. And every night he would wake up and these guys would drug his drink, and he'd wake up with these guys in bed on top of him doing what to him.
Jeez, yeah.
And it happened over and over and over. And Pat McGlynn has literally went through some stuff, dude. Those guys, that whole band, behind the whole story, the guy that ran it was running SA groups like trafficking, dude. And the big theory is that the Rollers were started out as just a trafficking thing for him. And he had no idea they were going to get big. He was doing that to all those guys. He was drugging them all, and most of them have admitted it now. And he was literally raping these guys. And poor Pat McGlynn literally is pretty bad because of that, and also 10 years of I think crack and hardcore methamphetamine use, like smoking crack. Dude, it really, really did a number on him. And the poor guy, I feel nothing but sorry for him. I'm certainly not dogging on Pat. I'm just telling you a story that's true. But Derek Longmire, I have a lot of contempt for. He's the guy I named myself after when I got in radio.
So you took the word, the name that you have a bad association. Well, because you told that story about was it your program director that didn't like the name, or didn't say, I don't want Bloody.
He said, I hate Bloody, but I love you, because I was his tenant. And he's like, I love you, but I hate Bloody. I've read about you for years. I can't stand that guy. So he goes, you can, and he was the radio manager. He says, you can go on the air now, but you're not using Bloody Mess on the radio. And I'm like, come on, dude, I already have a fan base. Nope. And he goes, you can't use your real name because there's stalkers out there. Believe me, there are. And so he goes, so pick something that's, realistic. So I picked Derek from Derek Longmire, because he was my favorite drummer, way before I ever knew that these things happened, that he was a horrible, that kind of guy that he is. And then I took Moody from Elvis Presley's last album, Moody Blue. and put and plus a DM are my legal initials, so I can sign a D and then like a doctor's signature and then an M and then a doctor's signature, and I can like do those, sign anything legal or not, and it still looks like it's my name.
Right.
So, but yeah, Derek Longmire got away with that stuff, and the guy never went to jail for it. He just had to pay a fine. He's got a home in Portugal. I don't know if you know much about Portugal, but it's like a trafficking central for men that like boys.
Is that
He's
right?
got a home there.
I mean,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when you start getting that in kind of near like Europe or whatever.
Well,
yeah,
there's so many stories about Derek, and I know any roller fans that see this is going to go viral on you. If they see this video of me talking this, which they will, and I don't give a rat's ass because I'm just telling the truth. And yep, I know people like me that tell the truth, you usually end up getting whacked. You come out with a cancer cure, by the next day, you expose Steven Spielberg or one of those creeps in Hollywood for being what they are. Up, you're gone the next day.
sure.
You know, but you know what? The truth I'm telling, I have no fear because I don't fear death, for one. And for two, it's all fact. Longmire's a pedo, and all those women deny it, and they say I'm an a-hole for bringing it up. And now, why do I got to bring that up? Because it's a fact. And so I'm going to end this with Pat McGlynn was also butthurt because I was hanging out with Jordan, and that touched a nerve deep down from the stuff that happened to him. How dare you hang out with a Longmire when that those guys hurt me? So I understood the psychology behind Pat's kind of wigging out, but his paranoia, delusions, and just like he would text me from the other room when he was upstairs in Scotland and go, Derek, I'm hearing voices in my head. I'm hearing Les McEwen's talking to me from the grave. Just crazy stuff, dude. And it got weird. And then people from Japan would text me while I'm at Pat's house. What is going on? Why is Pat upset with you right now? I'm like, I'm sitting next to Pat. He's drinking a glass of wine. We've never had even a cross word. What are you talking about? And like I say, when I left there, he was telling people, yeah, you're right about Derek. He's out of the picture. It was all paranoia and delusions. And that's why I wrote the song Skies Are Black. And if you look at the lyrics, it was my cathartic way to deal with this issue of me having a guy that I called bro for 2.5 years, managed him, loved him like a brother a lot. I loved him very much. And I still do, to be honest with you. I still care about Pat. Yeah. But I decided to write the song Skies Are Black so I could have a cathartic way to deal with my hate and my intense anger. And now I don't have that in anger towards Pat because I wrote the song. And the lyrics are directly about the whole experience, and it's all written about him. I did take some artistic liberty, and I added You'll Never Break Me, which was just written to rhyme. It really wasn't as crazy as it sounds, because I've had a lot of fans of his reach out and say I'm a psycho and that song's crazy and I took it too far. I'm like, no, I didn't. I wrote a song about an experience and I added a little artistic liberty to it, yeah, to make it dramatic. And then you throw in Don Bolles on the chorus, which was strictly his doing. It wasn't supposed to sound like that. It was like, whoa, this song is to a whole new level, almost gothic.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Woke up from a bad dream. Still feel disillusion in my head. When I believed in you, skies were blue. Blood on the torch and death on the trucks. Illusions betrayal. Skies are black.
Yeah, of course. Shout out to the great Don Bolles, one of my inspirations as a drummer. I think, especially hearing the Germs. So if you're listening, and well, I think I've told you we do have a sort of a connection with Don and a friend of mine named Steve Young, who is a record collector, just like Don Bolles is a record collector now. Have you visited his record collection?
Yeah, Donnie toured a couple times with Ariel Pink. Two
Sure.
different times, and they would stop halfway between Cali and they'd stop in Medford, and he would call me and say, Bloody, let's hang out. One of the times he called me, when we were leaving, he goes, come on the bus for a minute. And he showed me some of his record collection. Dude, like the coolest bubblegum, glam rock, glitter, punky stuff that I'd never heard of mostly. And just, he would play like throw on records, and I'm just like, holy crap. Yeah, Don Bolles. That's how I met him. He was in a club DJing one night in LA. I was at a party. And I was just getting ready to walk out the door, and the guy that had the party said, you know that guy DJing is doing? Yeah, I go, no, I gotta go though. He goes, well, anyway, that's Don Bolles. I go, wait, what? Yeah, I think I'm gonna stay. And I'm standing there, and Don Bolles walks. You there, bro?
Hello.
Angel, you froze up on me.
You're
I'm
kind of.
seeing Angel, and it's like this. Oh, you're back?
Are you? I'm here.
Hello? Yeah, Don Bolles was DJing at this club, and I was leaving. It was a private party, and I was leaving, and this guy says, "That's Don Bolles on that's DJing," and I go, "Oh, I'm staying." So I decided to stay, and I wanted to talk to Donnie, but I didn't know what to say to him. So he comes walking by me a while later, and I hear him saying out loud to somebody, "I really need to find some pot," and I'm like, "Bingo," because I had a big bag of joints in my pocket. So I walked up to him and said, "Hey Don, I'm bloody, and I want to know if you want to smoke some weed." And he goes, "Yeah." So we sat down right there on the fucking floor, me and him and my friend, literally just plopped down on that dirty floor, sat there and smoked 4 joints in a row and talked nonstop. But he was really fun to talk to. And that's how I met Don Bolles. He was DJing, and he's got the best record collection, bro. It's so good.
Yeah. And he, and then he's obviously given his time and his voice to Dark Days on Phase.
Yeah, he's on Skies Are Black. He's on Rock and Roll Resurrection and Michael Monroe.
So since we didn't get Skies Are Black, and you have said that it's one of your favorite songs, and would you say you're like the most proudest of doing?
You know what? It is one of the songs I'm most proudest of doing. That one, Michael Monroe as well, because I'll tell you the story later on that one. But there's quite a few songs on there. Wax Fruit too, of course, because I'm with my heroes and the Plasmatics. But yeah, I think Skies Are Black probably, and Chasing the Night are two of my and Zeller Dweller.
Yeah, tell me about Zeller Dweller. And
Zeller Dweller is funny to me because it's probably the most punk rock song on the newest album. I love it a lot. It was the music was written by Ren and Austin Weiss. They're a couple, good friends of mine. Austin used to be in the band The Bloody Mess and the New Disease on guitar on that EP. So they were living in Oregon at the time, and I asked them to co-write a couple songs for the album and be on, collab with me. Ren plays bass and Austin plays guitar and drums. So they came up with this great music and they sent it to me, and I'm like, this is awesome, hyper-kinetic, fast punk rock. And then I thought, well, what experience can I tap into that's really crazy? And I thought, how about the one about the mental hospital? So I was like, yeah, man, those were some crazy times. How about if I write about Zeller Zone? Zeller Zone is a famous, infamous mental institution that resided in Bartonville, Illinois, and one in Peoria, Illinois. The one in Bartonville was notorious. There's books about this place. It was very big, haunted, crazy place. And the one in Peoria was more of inpatient facility for people with various mental and emotional disorders, addictions, things like that. Or if you got in a bind with the police and they just thought you were crazy for whatever reason, instead of going to jail, they would just throw you in there. Well, when I was about 15 years old, I ended up drinking a whole fifth of whiskey, which was not uncommon. I drank a fifth about every day. Well, we had a party one night, and all the teenagers were all hanging out because this dude's dad was out of town for the weekend, and so he had a party, my buddy Bill. Captain Bill, by the way, that's his name. I've talked about him on some stories, and I've released a photo recently on Facebook with him. But Captain Bill had the house to himself. His stepdad was gone, the guy that he was living with, his surrogate dad. There's about 15 people there. Everybody had their own fifth of whiskey. We all had all these bottles of hard liquor. We were not joking around. We were drinkers. Well, two of the geniuses there, I think it was Eric and John, two friends of mine, Eric Allied and John Farrell, decided to have a chugging contest. So they went out in the front yard. They both chugged a whole fifth. One of the dudes ended up on the ground having convulsions.
Oh.
And the neighbors are tripping, like, what's going on over at John or Dougie's house over there? He's out of town. What's all these teenagers? Why are there guys throwing up? Why is people having seizures on the front lawn? Next thing you know, of course, we're partying and drinking and smoking weed. Next thing you know, the cops show up. When the cops showed up, they're like, busted. And they started pretty much trying to get everyone under control and be all dominant and to, make us scared. Girls are crying. People are, oh, I called my mom. One couple jumped out a window in the bedroom and jumped out the window and got out of there. But everyone else was freaking out except me. I was like, fuck you guys. And I was telling those cops, you kiss my ass. And I don't give a shit, blah, blah, blah. And I was just completely out of control, bro. 15, fifth of whiskey, angry as can be. And the cops, I kept trying to get up and to leave. And the cops were like, dude, you're not leaving. We're calling your parents. I go, I'm not giving you the number. So they're calling all these people's parents. Hi, Mrs. Johnson. I've got Becky here. She's drunk. She's 16. Coming to get her. These crazy people. So these people are coming to get their parents. And I'm just like, nope. And every time the cops are on the walkie-talkies, like, it'd be like, beep, beep, beep. I'd be like, beep, 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 beep. And I was just completely out of my mind, dude. I can't even convey to you how crazy I was. Like, I kept trying to leave. So they came over and they said, all right, we know what to do with you. And they handcuffed me to a chair. And I freaking just picked up the chair and walked with it. And then they came back over and they handcuffed me to a table. And I just started walking across the room, dragging the table. And they were like, this dude's out of control. And I was screaming and yelling and freaking out and cussing at them and just psycho. And they didn't know what to do with me at all. So they were just like, this kid's freaking mental. So guess where they took me? Da-da-da-da. It wasn't juvenile detention. I didn't go home to mom and dad. They took me to the mental hospital, dude, because they just didn't know what to do with me. And you know how liquor is. Eventually, you come down, right? So I go in there, see a shrink. Don't remember much of anything. This is all constructed thoughts. I don't remember much of this. It's like memories people have told me. But I remember waking up the next day and going, holy crap. And I thought I was in a hospital. And then I realized quickly, and then I got freaked out and scared because I just watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and other movies, and I was like, I'm in a mental hospital? Oh, wow. And dude, it sunk in like you could never believe. It was immediate PTSD, immediately like, what have I done this time? This is not good. And I freaked out, dude. And my dad called, and he's like, I got to talk to my dad. He goes, you know, in this law in Illinois, they can keep you as long as they want, even forever. You're screwed, dude. You would have been better off shutting up and going to jail, juvenile detention. He goes, because they can keep you forever if you're nuts. If they think you're mental, you're. And I'm like, but I'm not. I'm a drinker. And he's like, I know. Just talk to the shrinks and go along with the program, son. So I talked to a shrink the next day, and the first thing he says to me is, what happened to that psycho guy that was in here that guy, the demonic, crazy guy that was in here last night or 12 hours ago? I go, I drank a fifth of Jim Beam whiskey. He goes, okay, I get it. We talked for a long time. And then when we were done talking, he goes, okay. And this gentleman was from India. Dr. Faizi was his name. And he says to me, first of all, you're not crazy. He goes, you are not mentally ill. You have some emotional problems. And those stem from your parents' divorce when you're a young kid. And there's a problem you've never dealt with. When you drink, you address them and deal with them. That's why you're angry. I'm like, but being 15, I think I was 14 or maybe 14, 15. I was not having it, dude. I just wasn't going to hear any psychology. I was angry. He was right, but it hit a nerve with me. I was scared and I was also angry. And I ended up taking a glass that was sitting on his table and I freaking took it and smashed it, dude. And he immediately called in these big burly dudes. They came and picked me up, walked me into a little room they called the quiet room. Alice Cooper sang about it in one of his songs. And it's a white room that's padded. It's a padded cell, dude. And then they take all your clothes off of you, everything. And so I said, can I please take my book in there? And they were like, okay. So they let me have my book and I'm naked. I'm in a quiet room. I'm completely emotionally distraught. I'm out of my head. I'm crying. I'm miserable. I'm angry. I'm angry at the doctor. I'm angry at my parents. I'm angry at myself. But most of all, I'm scared. But the book that I was reading was Janis Joplin, Buried Alive. There's a book about Janis Joplin called Buried Alive. And that book got me through that time, dude. I jammed through it. It was all about Janis suffering and how she got through it and triumphant and blah, blah, blah. And that book helped me. And I remember looking at the book and laughing like a crazy man too, going, how ironic, Buried Alive. And then I looked on the wall when I was walking around that padded cell later on, walking around, there was parts of the wall, the top that weren't padded. And there was names scrawled in there. And I couldn't believe it when I saw a girl's name, Cindy Furness. It was a girl that I had a crush on when I was in 8th grade that was in high school. Just hot. She was a cheerleader, and I just thought she was smoking. And that I heard she had a mental breakdown because of LSD, and her name was on there scrawled in the wall, dude. So they let me out. And when you get put in a mental hospital back in those days, it's 7 days mandatory. You have to stay 7 days. Then they either get an injunction where you just stay until you're helped, or you're out of there. Well, the doctor said, you're not mentally ill, you're not crazy, blah, blah, blah. He goes, my advice to you is if you pick a path of alcohol, you're picking a very hard path, a lot of pain. If you pick a path of no alcohol, this will be resolved even if you don't get counseling. You'll work it out eventually in life. Which path did I pick? The hard one. I drank for 30 years, dude. And I institutionalized 20, 30 times, 25, detox, the mental hospital, jail, juvenile detention centers, you name it. So I ended up getting out of there within the 7-day period, and I was good until about a year later. I went back again. Yep. They picked me up, and the second time, I was actually angry at my parents, and I got really, really drunk and depressed. And I remember walking in the house, just going off, and my mom's yelling at me. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to end it all. I'm sick of this life. And she's crying and screaming. And this is some shit that makes me really heartbreak. It's heartbreaking to recant this. Never told anyone this. And I made amends with my mother when she died. It was all good. We talked and all that, but it's all good. But back then it wasn't. And I went into the cabinet where my mom kept all her prescription pills, because my mom was often sick, very ill a lot of her life. She had an abusive husband that was with before my father that really hurt her physically a lot. Even took her first child. That's another story. And I found that kid a few years ago, my brother. That's another story. And he's died since then too. But my mom had all these pills in this cabinet. I went through and took every pill out of every bottle and took them all, everything. Like hundreds of pills, dude. And my mom was screaming and crying. And I said, see you at my funeral. And then I ended up leaving the house, and she called the police. And then I ended up scaling a telephone pole behind my garage in my neighborhood, so I could scale up this telephone pole enough to be at level at the top of my garage, and I could watch over to see what was going on in my mom's area. And I watched those cops came and talked to her, and they were all looking for me around the neighborhood. Eventually, I snuck up between houses and walked out and hid behind a car, and then a cop caught me. Well, they ended up that night, of course, if you try to take yourself out, they're not going to take you to jail or juvenile detention. They want to take you to get help, legitimately. So I ended up there again, dude. And same doctor, Dr. Fazy. Back again? Good to see you there, buddy. I'm just like, glad you took my advice. And I'm just like, dude, I'm 15. And I talked to Dr. Fazy for a long time, and we pretty much came to the conclusion that, I screwed up. It's going to be up to me whether I continue drinking or not. But, he was just like, dude, when you came in here, you were absolutely, talking to the devil. You were having these conversations with the devil, literally. And it was very crazy. He goes, but you're not crazy. So you just got to stay off these spirits. Cause he goes, that's why they call them spirits. Cause they literally, they sort of take your body over when you drink alcohol. That's what they said in the old days. When you drink, you're being possessed by spirits. And that's when other entities, like using a Ouija board, same shit. It can take over, dude. I don't know. Kind of like that bloody George McKenzie. I don't know. How do you explain that stuff? But
Right.
Anyway, I went to Zeller twice, got out. He let me out within a week again because he knew I wasn't mental. I was had a drinking problem. He advised AA. And then when I got out, the other kids in the neighborhood would be like, yeah, what's up, Zeller Dweller? And shit like that. And it was pretty humiliating, and it made me want to hurt people back then. But it really bothered me more than anything because everybody knew, dude. Everybody knew. And it was my reputation was done. That was it. So all those years later, man, when I got that punk song from the Vices, I'm like, what's a real crazy story I could tell? Zeller Dweller. The guys titled it for me. Those kids in the neighborhood came up with that great title. Thanks a lot, you assholes. But but I think the song came out great, and all the lyrics are autobiographical. I do not have them in front of me. I'd like to read them to you, actually.
Oh, I have them right in front of me right now. But
do you have them? Should I grab them?
Yeah, do it. Actually, let me use the bathroom real quick.
So while Angel's using the bathroom, I will take over. Hey, look at that cute little dog. So Angel has asked me to read some of my spoken word stuff for some lyrics today. So this is a perfect segue for me to do so. So I'm glad that it's working out in the context that it is. And I will wait for Angel to finish doing his thing. It's your thing. Piss when you gotta piss. Oh, what a lovely dog. This is our happy place. Yes, it is. It's our happy place. Zeller Dweller, Zeller Dweller. Jet Dog's over here basking for my attention. I'm right here. I'm right here, Jetty. There she is, the star of the show, Jet Dog herself.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the lyrics to Zeller Dweller, and just keep in mind that back in the freshman year of high school, I was very anti-authoritarian. When they took me from 8th grade orientation to the high school and said, what do you want to do with your life? I literally said on paper, I want to be a member of the Hells Angels motorcycle club, or I want to live in a hippie commune. That's what I want to do with my life. And I became a carny and tried to become a Hells Angel, but I realized early on, not for me. But anyway, I was also into the Manson thing back then a whole lot, and I would regularly read all the books about these people, and I would carve X's in my forehead before I'd go to school. So here's the song Zeller Dweller. High school days were misery with an X on my forehead. I became a Zeller Dweller, became a Zeller Dweller. Yes, a Zeller Dweller I became. Pissing on the bus, bottle in my hand, spirits taking over. I couldn't even stand. That's a true story. I actually pissed on a school bus because they wouldn't stop for me to pee, so I had to pee in the very back seat. And when they went down a hill, so did all the urine, and everyone's like, "Oh!" That was when I got kicked out. I was going to alternative school at the time. That's another whole story, all about alcoholism. Then it says, buried alive in a quiet room, 2-time loser, frequency low. Became a Zeller Dweller, became a Zeller Dweller. My dad said that to me. He said, well, son, now you're a 2-time loser. You don't want to be a 3rd-time loser. I'm just like, wow, thanks, Pops, you prick. Then it says in the weird bridge part of the song, it says, shrinks don't dig the sound of breaking glass. Will they let me out, or am I home at last? Then it says, Zeller Dweller, Zeller Dweller. Then it says, high school days were misery, except for tripping in the woods on LSD, which is true. I used to get the hall pass, do acid, and when it would kick in, I'd get the hall pass and just walk straight out the door, out the front doors into the woods.
Yeah.
And it says, seeking realization in the dark with trauma in my head. Oh boy, I became a Zeller Dweller. I became a Zeller Dweller, became a Zeller Dweller. I became puking in Peoria with cops beating on my head. I became a Zeller Dweller, because that's another true story. And that's it. So the cop story, I got one time when the cops got called, they came in my kitchen. The cop took out his sap and he beat me on the head, and I went down. My head hit the edge of the oven, which is sharp, and blood's everywhere, and I'm completely cold. And my mom said that cop proceeded to beat me for like 3 minutes, even though I was already out.
Wow.
So you can see why I have a lot of disdain for cops. I've had one of my ex-girlfriends was raped by a cop. Her daughter was also essayed by a cop. Another lady in Ashland I know was too. And I've had so many incidences where even one of my drummers became a cop one time. Wow. And he quit within a year. He said it's completely and utterly 100% corrupt. There's no way not to be. If you're not a corrupt cop, the other cops won't come when you call them when you're in distress, and they'll just let you get hurt by gangs or whatever. So anyway, I'm just rambling, bro, but thanks for letting me read those lyrics.
No, I mean, and you know, obviously you must have felt really cathartic to, you know, obviously with any of your stuff, it's like you're bearing yourself out, but it must have been cathartic to kind of like obviously write about this experience and then, you know, put it on this record, which by the way is amazing. And
I think the vocals turned out really good on that one, not to toot my own horn, but I really am really proud of Zeller Dweller.
Toot your horn.
I think it should be a music video, man.
Yeah.
Well, I just need a straight jacket.
Well, I was going to say, hopefully when you do come back, you should definitely add that, I don't know, as a request from a fan. But
definitely would be a good live song.
Yes. Something I would love to see, and I mean, I don't know how you feel about this, but a box set of all your work, is that, I mean, Have anybody?
Well, I wish because they're all on different labels, so it'd be very, very tricky logistically and legally. And plus, I don't really have any communication with one of the labels. It's a great idea, and I have thought of that, Angel. It'd be super cool to have that, but the only way that would be possible is if somebody were to bootleg them. Wink, wink.
Some bands do that. Yeah, they do the CDR stuff, which I think, yeah. But yeah, we could talk about how to get.
If somebody bootlegged it and shared some profits with me, I wouldn't have any problem at all with that.
Right, folks, you heard it there. Yeah, I don't want to keep you too long. I mean, I'm just trying to think of. Yeah, I mean, I'm just enjoying this Sunday hang with you right now because, yeah, we've been pretty chill. Had an edible, and still continuing. But yeah,
well, the fact that you genuinely care about the things you're asking about, it means a lot. It's not like a regular podcast where it's just some interviewer that doesn't know me personally. It is like you said, it's like two guys hanging out on a Sunday.
But yeah, so I guess right now you got the Church of Rock that's happening. That's still going strong. Had a good time and listened to it last Sunday. So has that? Yeah.
I'm playing your request tonight for the smoke break.
Thank you.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to say that I'm working on my new thing now. Is I'm working on this Plasmatics tribute, and we're full force into it now. West Beach, my good buddy and legendary guitar player of the Plasmatics, has sent me two originals, which I have, and one of them is a surf rock song, which is a curveball for me, but hey, I'm gonna meet that match. But the second one is really ultra heavy and could actually be a Plasmatic song back in the the Metal Priestess days. It's so good, like real good, and I'm working on lyrics. Rumors, he's got a few rumored people that might be doing guest vocals. I should probably not say anything else. I said something in a video last night and I shouldn't have probably. But yeah, Wes is putting this together. It's 4 Plasmatics covers we're doing and those 2 originals. So it'll be a 6-song EP. And we're going to do a gig in Detroit together. We just decided yesterday, day before. Don't know when, but somewhere in Detroit, we're gonna put together a killer band and do Plasmatic songs and these collaborations we've done over the years, like Wax Fruit and Rock and Roll Scallywag and the new ones, and then some of my stuff, classic stuff. Yeah. That'll be a killer show.
Yeah. So now, yeah, you're going to become the next. You're going to be the next Chuck Berry of rock and roll at this point. Yeah. So anybody out there who's watching this, if you want Bloody to perform in your town, just learn the songs, and you'll do it for a price. There you go.
Pretty much. Yeah, man. I've had a couple offers come in. Some really good offers too, man. But yeah, I'm still waiting. The thing about doing that, man, is, and no offense to some of the bands that are at a certain level of skills, but there's certain bands that are good, but I'm used to playing with people that are like really good. Like if you hear the Veins album or the Dark Days record, it's pretty good musicianship on those records. So I just don't want to step down in a band that sounds like Hate or Chips Patrol again. It's got to be at a certain level of musicianship for me to do it,
Sure.
And so when I ask bands, hey, you'd be surprised at some of the bands, man. It's just like, holy crap, I don't want to hurt your feelings, dude, but it's not going to happen,
I wonder what Geezer Senior would be like backing you up.
I like that guy. He's so interesting.
Yeah, Jack Geezer, folks. Yeah, he says hello, gives his best.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. Tell him I said hello back. I love the videos and I love his music he sent me. And yeah, cool cat, man.
Yeah, but yeah, so
good old Charleston.
Yeah. Here, let me light up here. So yeah. Can't think of anything else other than I am definitely looking forward to working on your video.
Oh man, I am so excited about you releasing that at this point because I saw it. It's actually pretty fun to watch, man. I mean, it's not painful. I thought it was going to be kind of painful to watch it, but it's actually very entertaining. Like you said, the audience is a big part of it. Yeah. The band, of course, Dave Moe, man, has gotten so many new fans, and so is Super 88. No disrespect to them, because Peter Curse on drums, Chris Anderson on bass, Jeff Hyde on vocals, and Dave Moe are one hell of a unit. Without me, But you know, I love those guys. And Dave Moe, that dude's a shredder, man. He's so good.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, first meeting him and just, just being such a sweet, gentle giant, and then, getting him on stage playing guitar. I was like, holy shit. It's like I'm hearing, you know, hear all kinds of stuff. Definitely like James Williamson was like the first thing that was.
Yeah, he's a big Jeff Beck guy. And who else do you like? He likes Jeff Beck a lot. I'll say that.
Okay. I can get down. As the kids
Yeah.
say, I can fuck with some Beck.
Yeah, I think Dave Moe is probably one of my favorite musicians in the world. Like he can literally play sitar, any instrument, man, anything. And he can also do art like you wouldn't believe. I'm talking collages and handwritten and decoupage, and he makes costumes, and he plays in a band called the Whiskey Trust where they do like stuff by like Mr. Sandman, and it's like beautiful music with his wife singing, and she plays too. And those guys are crazy talented, man. Dave Moe for the win.
Yeah, and that's cool that knowing there's guys like us that are still doing it. Which yeah. Recently, I had when we went to a show last Sunday, met up with some old friends of mine. My musical journey, at least part of it, in the 2000s, was playing with this band Mid States, which we're kind of like a shoegaze indie pop band. That was probably the most active I was as a musician.
It's funny. I just recently learned I didn't even know what the word shoegaze meant until I did a Jesus and Mary Chain video, and I was looking them up, and it said they're part of the shoegaze movement. I'm like, shoegaze? And then I looked it up. I'm like, how cool is that? There's so many genres that I'm just learning still,
I wouldn't even call Jesus and Mary Chain shoegaze, because that band would start riots. They were kind of like
right.
Yeah,
Most people in the UK agree that punk is dead. Many of them are nevertheless constantly on the lookout for the next Sex Pistols. And the latest band to earn that title is the Jesus and Mary Chain. They've been barred from the premises of their own record company because they picked the president's pocket on their first visit. They've been featured in every major music magazine in the country. A number of their shows have ended in violence. All the essential ingredients for success.
Excited about you.
Because we're so good.
Is that so?
Because we're so much better than everybody else. Because so many other people are complete rubbish that people have got to pay attention to us. It's pretty obvious, really.
Seems like a good reason. But
I don't know if you've ever heard any of their early stuff where it's just like feedback.
Oh, dude, I love them. I'm a huge fan. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah. But yeah, no, shoegaze. So I was in this group, and yeah. So after I left, kind of lost touch. But my friend Paul, shout out to him, hit me up. He's like, oh, a friend of ours, this other musician, Aaron, who's from the Bay Area, was coming out, and I actually played drums on his record. He goes under the name of Change.
Oh wow, cool.
Change exclamation point pop. Shout out to you, Aaron.
So many mixed messages in your mixtape. Fast forward, you pause and rewind. So many mixed messages in your mixtape. Fast forward, you pause, you rewind.
And
Hey, you've done a lot of stuff I still need to be schooled on, bro.
I mean, it's my discography is scattered, and one of these days, maybe this year, I'll have to kind of.
You should put it together, man. It'd be highly cool to see for your fans, man.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I played. Yeah, so we met up with them, and it was just wild to know, because that was the other thing too. Was like my friend Paul was trying to find like who from the scene is still around, and I'm like, I guess I'm one of the last few standing folks in Chicago. Yeah, I mean.
Still alive in 2025. That's my new motto.
And 52. So there you go. I'm on the fifth floor, as they say.
We'll be doing it till we drop, bro. Some people are just meant to do that,
Yeah.
I will definitely be in doing something in music or with music till I drop. Absolutely, 100%. It's just a matter of how or what. Right. I'd kind of like to start an outlaw country and blues band out here in Southern Oregon. I got a drummer that I've already found, so I gotta kind of talk to some more people, but that might happen.
Okay. And obviously, like with keeping busy with that, and of course, try to give you some positive vibes for a job.
Yeah.
and work.
I got interviews tomorrow and Tuesday. I'm pretty positive I'm going to get one or both offers because I'm pretty positive of that.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a regular desk job or like, inside normal job since 2010.
Oh, wow. So this is what your job is, being bloody F mess.
Well, I was working on a pot farm out here for years, the same one for 11, 12 years, trimming, harvesting, brokering, you name it, every aspect of it. And I was fully employed doing that, which is legit work. And it's out here, it's all legal and stuff. But
Yeah.
that all went under like 2020 when COVID hit and all that crap. It just everything went down, and cartels, legalization, all these different factors kind of ruined the industry. So yeah, I went from doing very, very well to doing very, very poorly. So
Yeah.
now I'm up on the men though, dude. I'm on top of things, and things are good, man.
No, I feel like this year is, I mean, despite everything that's going on here, like personally for us, I think, and for you, I see some good things. I mean, do you like to plan ahead about the future, or are you just kind of like, 2025? What are you thinking? Like, what's
Well, like yesterday, somebody invited me to come on this Kiss. It's the Kiss Army 50th anniversary in Vegas in November, and this awesome YouTuber that I met has invited me to go and like pay my way and get me there and come here and like go to the whole thing. And
wait, a Kiss
I'm like,
Army,
dude,
band Kiss Army?
it's like a whole big deal. Well, the guys are going to be there, and all these guys are going to, Gene,
Oh, that's,
Paul, Bruce Kulick,
right.
like
Oh, I did hear about this. Yeah. So you got
and I told him, dude, of course I want to go, but it's not till November. And I go, I have a job on the horizon. I don't know what things are going to be looking like. Like I asked him, when do you have to buy your tickets by? Because it's quite a crazy invite, dude. And I'm like, I'd probably go, yeah, but I just gotta, I'm really bad at pre-planning because I'm nervous about planning something and not being able to commit later. So
sure.
who knows? Dude, I just spent an hour before I talked to you today on this stupid airline call. We booked tickets to see Michael Monroe in Los Angeles next month. Got my ticket bought last night. Sister Tracy staying longer than I am down there with Audrey. So I had to buy her separate. And I went to this other place. And man, what a nightmare, dude. Total scam, man. These people tried to tell me it was 250, and then they called me back and say, oh, it's going to be 650. And I'm like, bull. I mean, I was like, you don't know who you're talking to. I'm not going to sit here and swallow this crap you're giving me, dude. I said, first of all, I'm on the radio. I'm going to blast you guys into smithereens because we have a lot of listeners all over the country. I go, second of all, I know lots of attorneys, bro, and I'm not stupid. And third of all, I'm going to get on social media like Reddit, and I'm going to blast you guys. I go, wait a minute. I told him, I've already read Reddit. You guys are scammers. I was waiting for your call. I screwed up and ordered from this goddamn company, and I ended up getting them down to where it was like 350, dude. But it was like a huge haggle. Like I was in India for like an hour getting this guy to come down, and I was looking online, and there was nothing cheaper at that point. So I just went ahead and went with it. But man, I was just seeing red, bro. Ridiculous scam. I'm trying to think of the name of the company. It's like something Flow. Don't ever book with them, dude. But I looked them up, and sure enough, this is a common scam they do. It's like Fast Flow or some name.
Okay. Well,
Nightmare. So yeah, traveling's tricky.
but I mean, so Michael Monroe too, which is another song.
Dude, yeah, I love that song. It came out. It's probably the most rock and roll song I've ever recorded. Straight up rock and roll, really.
And my exposure to Michael Monroe, actually, it's kind of weird. Like it's backwards. I started sort of. I knew about him from his solo work first.
Nice.
And finally discover, he was in this band. Because my first job was a record store, and I mean we had punk rock. That's where I learned about punk rock was this place. And and of course a lot of metal, and then there's this band Hanoi Rocks, but there's Michael Monroe. So yeah, I mean, how did you first?
I still don't understand it, man, but Hanoi Rocks is still one of those bands that a lot of people just don't know their music, or Michael. It's crazy. That guy is one of the best frontmen in the business, and he has been since the 80s. I mean, Jesus, I watched these videos of Hanoi Rocks. We were watching them all night last night, and we were just blown away by this Andy McCoy and Michael and these live shows. I'm like, this is as good as it gets. And I don't understand why people don't know about these guys more, but I couldn't be thrilled more. because when that song came out, I sent it over to Nina Antonio, who's the author of In Cold Blood, the Johnny Thunders book, and she was kind enough to make sure that Michael got the song. But he replied, "I've already got the song. Somebody else already sent it to me, and I really appreciate it, and I like it." And I got to see that, so that's really made me happy. So when I see Michael, I'll be the guy going, "I'm the guy that wrote the Michael Monroe song on the internet," and that'll be easy to get his attention because it's his first trip to the States in 9 years. Everyone's going to be trying to meet Michael.
Be a killer one tonight.
Oh.
Bloody mess. I did that tribute song for you on YouTube.
Michael Monroe, real rocker. Set those down so they don't smear.
Real rocker, that's right.
You remember that? Did you like that song?
Real rocker, yeah, I like it. It's cool. It's very flattering, and
Thank you.
I do appreciate stuff like
Came
that.
from the heart.
Who sent it to him?
Yeah, a couple of people told me about it, and I finally saw the video.
Antonio sent it to
He
you.
said he finally.
Nina. Okay, thank you, Michael.
Nina Antonia, yeah, she was the one, yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny Thunders.
Yeah, it's so good to see you finally. I got my Johnny Thunders in honor of you guys' friendship.
Thank you.
Much
I really
love,
appreciate
Michael.
that song is great.
Thank you so much. It means the world to me.
It means the world to me too, man.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes.
Right.
I was going to say about, and of course, you're going to go see Michael Monroe at the Whiskey, the famous Go-Go, which, have you been there before?
I have, yeah, man. I went there to see, it was a Christian death tribute band with a guy that looked and sounded exactly like Roz Williams. Rick Agnew from Christian Death on guitar, Jatan Damone from another version of Christian Death up there too, and it was just amazing. And then I saw another show there too. But yeah, the Whiskey only holds like what, 500 or 550 people. So when those tickets went on sale, I'm like, I'm screwed. And then daughter Audrey calls and says, "Guess what I got?" And she's freaking scored 3 tickets for us, dude. So shout out to Audrey.
Shout out to Audrey, please. Yes. And give my best to her. But yeah, and of course, I was just thinking about the Whiskey and the history, as you know, that's where our favorite singer, Jim Morrison, got fired.
Yep. So much freaking history in that place, dude.
Yeah. And then of course the Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention played there a lot. And of course the Germs played there. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you name it. So
yep, that's one place I've never played, man.
Yeah, what would be like, besides the Whiskey, what would be your favorite, what would be the one place you would love to play?
Well, I was booked to play at CBGB's. It was even in the Village Voice newspaper, but I couldn't go because my band quit. That I played Davenport. I haven't told this story, I don't think. I played in Staten Island. Same situation I did recently. A band met me through Maximum Rock and Roll before cell phones, 1990. They learned my entire 6th grade field trip album from start to finish in Staten Island. Merle Allen, Gigi Allen's brother, called me, and he was booking shows for CB's at the time.
Oh.
He said, "I could get you a gig there, man." I said, "Cool." So Merle Allen gets me booked at CBGB's. It's all in stone. I get out there. I drive out to New York in a van with some friends that are going to a horror convention where they sell stuff at, and I just got to ride with them, set up the gigs around that free ride. And then I got a hold of the guys in Staten Island. They set up a gig at this mob-owned bar called Nary's in Staten Island. And then we had CBGB's the next night. So when we went to the Nary's Club, I had my leather jacket on. The band and I did a sound check. They sounded perfect. They sounded just like the record. And I knew the words, so we were good, right? The owner comes up to me and says, "Hey, man, I hear you burn stuff on stage. You're not going to burn no stuff in my goddamn club. You hear me now? You ain't burning nothing in here. Nothing gets burned." And I'm like, "I'm not going to burn nothing in your club." Oh, shit. And well, little did he know I had flags inside of my leather jacket that I brought just for the occasion. But the place is full of skinheads. And I'm talking the kind that are like, big American nationalist kind of dudes. And so I don't know what I was thinking, bro. Merle Allen chewed me out for months about this, and others did too. I don't know why I blew my wad that night in Staten Island, but I just felt like it. I only had a few drinks too. But I remember like 3rd song in, I just pulled out the flags and started torching them. The owner's going ape shit. The skinheads are trying to beat the piss out of me. There's like 6, 7, 8 of them, and they're literally punching at me, kicking me. All I remember is taking that mic stand, and it was just adrenaline, dude. And I just started bashing dudes with the mic stand like I was batting with a baseball bat. I was taking dudes out, bro. I was like, I'm not going to get taken out, but I will fight back. I'm not a tough guy, but I've got balls like King Kong. And I'm like, I'm not backing down from these pricks, you know, but I was scared. I'm going to go down. So these security guys, they finally separate us. They throw me behind the amps, big old stack of amps right behind the stage. I'm protected. And there's a door right next to me, right there on the wall to an exit. And I'm like, if I walk out that door, those guys are going to be out there waiting. I'm dead. I can't get out of here. The owner's he's up there. I'm like, what am I going to do? I got to get out of here. And I'm all tousled up. I got my face is bruised. I got a black eye because, you know, I just got semi beat up and I was fighting back. Well, finally, 15 minutes later, which felt like an eternity, one of the dudes says, okay, there's a freaking cab coming. Get the hell out of here, man. So I open the door real quick, and there's literally a cab right there, and the skinheads are right there. I got in. They got a couple punches in at me. I'm like yelling, go, go, go to the cab driver, and they're punching the windows, and my hair's all messed up. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And so I go back to the hotel over the Brooklyn Bridge, back over to Manhattan, tell my guys, yeah, man. They're like, what the hell happened to you? And then I called Merle Allen, and he's like, what? Bloody. And you know what I had to do to get you that gig? There's like a waiting list for a year, literally, dude. This is going to look bad. I'm pissed. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you do that at CB's? So I'm like, dude. So I called the band, and they're like, yeah, dude, all those skinheads that you did that last night. I go, yeah, they're all coming to CBGB's, and they say they're going to shank you tonight. Everyone's talking about it. He's like, dude, this ain't Peoria. He said, you literally don't know what you just did. He goes, we're not coming to that gig. And I'm like, dude, you've got to come because I'm willing to go get shanked. I don't care. Let's just do this. And the dudes were like, nope. And so I went to Merle's house. So I thought I got to go to his apartment and tell him I have my tail between my legs. And Merle was just livid. He was pissed. He was just like, dude, this is unacceptable. Can't believe you did this. I'm like, dude, I didn't plan it. He's like, yeah, but you should have, done that at CB's and done your blah, blah, blah. And so that's one of my regrets big time because I used to go party there all the time when we would tour, play New York. When I did the Donahue show, the Rolanda show, I'd go to CBGB's. So that happened. So if I could play anywhere, it would be there. The only places I'd want to play would be places I haven't. Like I'd never played Boston, never played Vermont or New Hampshire or Connecticut or, Florida. I had a 13-state tour booked in 2013 when the Bloody Mess Rock Circus broke up and we were playing and they were all done. They were in stone. We were doing like freaking Louisville, Kentucky, and all these weird places going up east. Black and Blue Records had a gig for me in Rhode Island, the Living Room. And I had to call up and systematically cancel every one of those because we had a falling out in that band and I couldn't fix it. I tried. But
yeah. We should tell that story in our second part. And what was I going to say about that? Yeah, I mean, damn it, I totally lost my train on that one. Sorry.
I am fucking stoned. I am fucking stoned.
Yeah, I get that way, bro. I tend to remember something and then I'm like, well, I've never told this story because I haven't told that story on my channel because I'm trying to stay away from like the flag burning and the Gacy stuff because I don't know, man. But people seem to stick around for that Gigi stuff. So maybe I'm just being weird. Maybe I should just do it. I don't know.
I mean, well,
tell the stories.
And obviously you're you have connections with what is it, Punk Media, which I love that channel actually. I definitely dig the, it's interesting, like everyone's got their own telling of this guy, obviously you have, obviously you're more than just GG stories, that's for sure. You have a great body of work of music, your writings and stuff and what you do. So, but but obviously, people always gravitate to the dark stuff, the low frequency, but
they really do, man. Because I was trying to argue one day. I'm like, my YouTube subscribers, they're not the majority. As far as this GG and dark stuff, that's not what people want to see. Matter of fact, they'll leave. But then I looked at all the GG videos, and there's more views. I've got more subscribers when those go up, and I can't deny it there. And then I see the earnings money go up. It's just you can't deny it. So people do want to hear that stuff. It's just that when you start getting into the flag territory, it starts getting political.
Yeah.
And you start getting into the serial killer stuff, that starts getting a little bit more weird. Like, okay, you were a different guy back with the GG days, but now you're telling us this. A lot of people freak out on it. I did a story about John Hinckley and I lost 10 subscribers in like an hour.
Wow. I mean, obviously true crime is a big thing, especially on YouTube. It is like people love that stuff. So I don't know.
Have you seen my Hinckley video?
Oh yeah. You sent it to me.
unlisted, and then when I made it unlisted, it was 180 views. Now it's got like 300, 400, 500 or something because I went ahead and made it public.
Oh,
But
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, when I first made it, when I first put it up, man, people, I lost 10 people in like an hour, dude. I was like, are you kidding? I'll never be able to tell the other stuff then. I have Manson stories, Gacy stories, Otis Toole stories, like Kenneth Bianchi stories, Hillside Strangler. I have so many of them, dude. I mean, I visited Gacy 3 times. I have stories out the ass about that alone.
Yeah. But I know, I mean, obviously, yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like you're starting to, not so much like, not that you're ashamed of it, but more like that's a part of your history that you don't like to share?
Well, if other people wouldn't, if this whole weird cancel culture-y, weird type of mentality we have today didn't exist, I wouldn't worry. But the other day, Bob Harrington from Ragged Records said, look, man, you need to just tell he goes, I hate cancel culture and I don't support it. And he goes, you can do what you want, blood. He goes, but I think you should tell your stories and not worry about any of it at all and just be you because it's the truth and it's interesting. And do you really care if people cancel you? And I said, not really. I mean, at the same time, I do value my YouTube subscribers. So, I mean, if you're talking about that, I do. But at the same time, I don't want to tiptoe around life because the people are going to go, I'm going to cancel you. It's like, what are you really going to cancel, dude? My own manager, my own promoter, my own booking agent, there's nothing. I don't even have a career, really. I'm just, hustling, So I don't know, Angel. It's just such a weird, sticky, weird territory, man. All of it.
Yeah, well, and as you know, we've talked before about which I still have to get a copy of Punk in Peoria.
Yeah, it's worth a read, man. Punks in Peoria for sure. I thought about reading my chapter. So I've got that chapter called the Public Enemy #1 is what it's called, the chapter, and it's like 10 pages. But I was thinking about reading that on my channel with real live commentary as I go.
Yeah, you should. I mean, when you were telling me about that, which and that's something that we've, since we've become friends and talking, is this idea, feeling like you've been misunderstood all these years, like, as far as like people having have the perception of who you are. I feel like I got the true form when I met you, but.
Absolutely, dude. And a lot of these people that were interviewed for that book are talking about me as if it's still 86. Like, oh, this guy is this and this, but they should be talking more past tense, but they're all talking as if, and like I told my wife, I'm like, when you see a guy once a week, every Saturday night, drunk off his ass and being a nutty for 20, 30 years, you're going to probably walk away with an opinion that this guy is a fucking drunk psycho. But you're missing the point, though, is that's just projection again. There's 6 other days of the week, where I was a son, a father, a husband, had regular jobs sometimes, but then there was the incidences where I was drinking and people were there to see a performance or just whatever. And yeah, collectively it adds up to a lot of craziness, but it's a very thin line between genius and psychosis between genius and insanity.
Right.
And but they talk about me in that book almost as if they're talking about that same guy from then, but now it's very kind of slanted that way, not on purpose, but it's just kind of weird, like. Yeah. There's so many varying opinions from he's the most tender and super cool guy ever to he's a sociopathic, pathological liar. It's just like it goes back. The pendulum just goes zoo, zoo, zoo. So I can't just say, oh, I like the book because there's some good stuff. I don't mind the bad stuff, but when it's in a book, it's different than me and you talking. Yeah. It's in a book. So anyone that reads this is going to have an opinion because of that book. Like the Encyclopedia of Punk book that came out that's nationally everywhere in the world. Has me in it, but it says, oh, this guy hung out with G.G. Allen and has no memorable songs in his catalog. That's all it says about me in this book. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Wow. It'd be one thing to say that, but to put it in a book's pretty freaking lame because that guy obviously never heard my music, whether you like it or not. He's judging by like a year's worth of crappy music that he heard and didn't do any research beyond that, So my point is the book is slanted in a weird way to where it almost seems like they're talking about me back then and making me be accountable now. It's like, come on, how many of you guys haven't changed in 30 years? Everybody has.
And did you get an okay? Like, did they send you like a did they send you something to read over to approve or to?
Well, no, they were very fair. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to. I have nothing but respect for Jonathan and Barrett, the guys that did the book. There's a lot of people that are unhappy with that book because they didn't cover a lot of different parts of the Peoria punk scenes, whatever was their experience, but they didn't cover many other scenes that were happening at the same time or subsequently. But they, they did it a good job according to their perspective and what they were dealing with. But it's just interesting because they did skip a lot of parts, and there's also they did give me the chance to reply to a lot of this stuff. Like when people would say bad things, they had me on the phone a lot for hours, and I got a chance to put my rebuttal in for some of this stuff. But then there's like an incident in the book where there's a show with 1096 and Bert and us, and huge famous show that happened. Hundreds of people were there, big show. And somebody at the end of the night took, I don't know if it was a vase or I'm having trouble remembering because it's such bullshit. It was something that had animal blood, I guess. And somebody threw animal blood all over the walls of the place. And everyone said I did it. And I didn't even know that incident happened. So when the dudes interview me about the book, I'm like, what are you even talking about? I go, do you know that I'm a huge animal lover, like hardcore? Like, Atwa, baby, animals, tree, waters, and air, animals. And that's my thing. I wouldn't hurt an animal. I never, ever. I would never hurt. And if I saw somebody hurt an animal, I would hurt that person physically. But yeah, and I wouldn't even hurt a fucking dude. I try not to even kill spiders. So these people are saying in the book that I went around after the show where there was cops at and somehow threw animal blood on the walls. And I told them I did not do that. Well, everyone else said, yeah, I did. So it says in the book, well, the jury's still out on that one. I'm like, dude, I done told you I didn't do it. The jury's not still out on it. Now you're saying you believe me and all the other stuff I said, but on this occasion, the jury's still out. So there's little things like that make me kind of irritated, or calling me somebody pathological liar. I'm like, I told Tracy, name one lie that I've ever told. One. And everyone that I say that, she just goes, because it's such bullshit, dude. Back in the day, like I would get letters from like John Hinckley because of my fanzine, and I would tell people in the scene, and I remember people that would say, "Yeah, Bloody's totally he's so fake. He just made that up. He didn't get a letter from Hinckley." I'm like, the hell I didn't. So things like that would typically happen to me, and I would be called a liar or this or that, or the Zeller stories mixed in with this or that, and next thing you know, people are saying I'm a liar and a sociopath. I'm like, sociopath. I think it's because I used to drink, and when I drank, I didn't give a shit about the consequences. But they're mixing that up with a sober person doing that.
Right.
It's so stupid, bro. I mean, I guarantee you, everybody I know is blacked out drunk at one time or another. I have hundreds and hundreds of blackouts that I've had, hundreds. And it's an awful thing to say that, man. But a big majority of my life was calling up people and saying, I'm sorry, what I do last night, what happened, why do you hate me? It became a pattern in my life. And when the Bloody Mess Rock Circus broke up, we played at a strip club. I hadn't drank in a long, long time, and I came unglued and drank like a lot of tequila. Just fucked up everything, dude. Everything. We wake up in the morning, bass player's gone. He's done. I physically tried to confront him and just said all this nasty crap. And our guitar player wakes up in the morning going, "Where's Christopher at, man?" I'm like, oh my God. But he blacked out. But it was just like a lifetime of patterns of blacking out. And that was the last straw for me. That's when I quit drinking. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I hurt my friend. And even though I apologized, this particular friend said to me, when I hold a grudge, it's forever. That's what he said. I'm like, well, we're done then. And that's why I had to cancel that tour, because I'm like, I can't work with that.
Yeah.
And he wanted to still do the tour. I'm like, I'm not going to sit in a van with you and your fucking girlfriend who he brought everywhere with him, to every bathroom, every hotel room, everywhere we stayed, every gig, every rehearsal, everything, period. Okay. And that's part of the reason we broke up. And I never said a word about that to those guys at the time because I was respectful to my friend. Yeah. But he wanted me to go on tour in a van with this band with all this tension and anger towards me, with him and his chick. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's hard enough touring with people when you're in a good mood, let alone this stuff going on. So that's why that band broke up. He just wouldn't forgive and forget, man. And I was like, and then she gets on the internet and puts, I don't care if he sees this or not either. She gets on the internet and puts immediately after we broke up, Yoko Ono did not break up the Beatles, And I'm just like, here we go. Let the aggressive games begin. And I'm like, delete, block, goodbye. And then they get super offended because I blocked her. But you know what? That kind of childish shit doesn't fly in my world. How often do you see me reply to negative stuff or put anything at all negative, like on my social media or on YouTube? I'm the opposite, man. I try to embrace happiness and I'm celebrating life over here, man, like you are, bro. Smoking weed, listening to rock and roll, and
well, and I see that with your community, with your online and seeing it on stage, seeing it at Livewire. There, people love you. So, and there's, yeah. So, cheers to you. Cheers to you.
But back, just to end it on that not a bad note. Shout out to Jonathan and Mr. Dawson for putting out a good book. I like it. There's just parts of it that I would like to have some commentary back, so I get the last word or whatever. But other than that, I think it's a fun read, and it does document a very good historical part of Central Illinois, and I know you'd find it interesting. And the companion album that came with it's really pretty cool.
Well, and I think when it comes to even telling the story of like any scene, any punk scene, there's always going to be slights. There's always going to be, like, even the American Hardcore book. I don't know. Did you ever check that book out?
Yes.
And yeah, Chicago. I mean, for a change, it was good to see like a little bit more, about Chicago, but it was still very.
And then there was a documentary too, right? Like a film. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good too.
It was very good. Yeah. I'm glad to have been taking part in even a little bit of that, bro. By the time that I played at Tuts, 83, 84, it was, they were getting ready to close down. Things were shifting, but it was cool to be hanging out with members of Negative Element, Rights of the Accused. They were in my band. Steve Steppe on bass and Chips Patrol. He was in Rights of the Accused too. And Chopper and Barry were in Negative Element. So I had like legendary kind of Chicago bands that moved to the Peoria area. Put an ad up, which I still have that ad, and they were looking for a singer. And when they met me, they did not really like me personally. They pretty much just known. They called me a skid because I liked metal and I liked punk and I did drugs and alcohol and had sex, blah, blah, blah. And they're all like straight edge. And in retrospect, I probably should have picked straight edge too. So I'm not holding any grudges from the past. I don't look at those guys like they're still the same people. That's what I have a problem with that book. It's like people hold me accountable for shit that everybody changes in decades. Come on, man. You know? Well, but I'm here to admit that I'm not going to be full of regrets about a lot of that crazy shit either, because it's what made me who I am today. And it was a lot of fun at the time. If I hurt people, that's a different story. And there are some of those stories too out there in the world. But, I've made amends with as many as I can. And some people reach out to me and hold me accountable sometimes too, bro. Hey, remember this time you did this to me? How do you feel about that? And I'll be like, you got me crying right now. That's how I feel about it. I'm be like, shit, thank you for making me say I'm sorry, and usually they'll accept. But there's a couple people out there, nope, no can do. They just want to hold on to grudges.
Yeah. Well,
but you got to forgive yourself first, man. And if you do forgive yourself, only then can you be forgiven. And if the other person does it, that's their problem. And that's what Ram Dass told me. If you really forgive yourself, that's really is their problem. Because if they're holding on to it and you aren't, why are they holding on to it? Why won't they forgive? That's their problem. They have a problem somehow. Because if you have a problem with another person, the problem you have is with yourself. That's what I've learned in life.
Well, what I was going to say, oh my God.
Sorry, man.
I totally lost.
We're both two guys smoking weed.
That's what happens when you do. That's what happens when you take an edible and then smoke.
Yes. One guy eating weed.
I am fucking stoned. I am fucking stoned.
I mean, you've been doing radio. I mean, what, 20 plus years now at this point?
Almost 26. Yeah.
26 years, which
I started the Church of Rock on Halloween night, Angel of 1999.
Okay.
And so while my career in radio ended a long time ago, which I worked 7 days a week as a salaried radio broadcaster, DJ, on a bunch of stations, but the Church of Rock has never faded. It's always existed. Even when I wasn't working in radio, like for a career, I've always had a regular FM radio station that would let me do the church, or they would pay me, or they would give me trade outs. But I've always had it on. And now it's on the 8th station that it's ever been on. And we've been proudly on KSKQ community radio here in Southern Oregon. God, I don't even know, dude, maybe 12 years or more.
But yeah, there's something magical, right, about being on just being on radio. I've there's been a couple of times I've been able to DJ at a radio station, just like jumping on some community station. But yeah, it's very magical. So that's very cool that you got the, this carnation of Church of Rock. Jeez.
So yeah, if there's any fanatics out there that really are interested, you can hear the show every Sunday on kskq.org. That is kskq.org, and you just click listen live, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central Time, and it's a 2-hour program hosted by myself and Sister Tracy, and we play B cuts, deep album cuts, B-sides, rare stuff, cool stuff, pretty much every genre of rock and roll you can think of, from Leif Garrett to Gigi Allen. I mean, we do it all, everything. So, and
you tell some tales, and yeah, I mean, just it's exciting to hear you, just as like any good DJ goes, you just keep it flowing, and I think it totally nails your style and what you, or whatever it is. It's just who you are. So
yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. I really enjoy it. We're gonna play some good stuff tonight too. Opening the show with the Runaways' "Dead End Justice" from their first album. It's like a 7-minute song that no one ever plays it because it's so long.
Okay.
But it's got this cool banter that goes on between Shuri Curie and Joan Jett that goes on throughout the whole song about them getting busted and going to juvenile detention and then escaping the jail, and it's super cool. So I'm gonna open the show with that tonight.
Badass.
Where am I? You're in a cheap, rundown teenage jail, that's where.
Oh my God!
Yeah, Blondie, you're gonna be here till you're 18, so get used to it.
Yes, we'll definitely tune in. Now I remember what I was gonna say, and it was in comment about like just, you're very how do I say it? Just very like, your history is just insane in the best way possible. I mean, and I think you probably everything that you've done, it's like you're kind of the last of the generation to kind of really push the envelope. And I mean, there's been many, obviously Gigi for sure, and other Joe Coleman and other like performance artists and stuff like that. But it's the fact that you were probably like, your generation is the last to be able to just like push that envelope and as far as you can before, and of course before cell phones, before, I mean,
yeah.
And
I actually did performance art stuff too. Joe Coleman I used to be friends with Joe Coleman for a long time. For a few years, we'd write back and forth. He would send me cool art. And then one day I sent him a picture of me and some outfit I had on. And he wrote back to me, "Don't ever write me back again, you."
Whoa. Wow.
And I'm like, whatever, bro.
So
my girlfriend laughed at that one, but yeah.
That's funny. Well, and Jack got an actual drawing from, or it was an autograph, but it was a drawing. It was a portrait of our singer Jack. I don't know if you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I saw that. I think we saw that in the video, right?
Yes.
Here's something that Joel Coleman, a great artist, he did the cover for "You Can't Win," the autobiography of Jack Black, but he's done many great paintings, and that I went and saw him sign one time. He did a portrait of me.
So that was Jack.
This was probably 30 years ago.
You were wearing a hat?
I was wearing a hat. I used to wear a hat in those days. I got over that. Oh, wait. I'm wearing a hat right now.
Yeah, I saw that on your video, man. Great video. Check it out, guys.
Check it out. Jack Easer.
Jack Easer right here on As We Go Along with Angel.
Yes. And Bloody Mess. So, wow. Well, we should probably, I think we're good. Unless there's anything else.
It's a wrap.
Yeah.
Not really, man. Just everybody, thank you so much for the time for spending with me and Angel and supporting this channel. And please subscribe to Angel's channel, guys. And also, thanks to West Beach, my current collaborator that I'm working on this great music with. I'm literally in lyric writing mode, and you can check out all of my music videos at The Church of Rock, all one word, on YouTube. And you can also check out my Bloody F Mess Official for true rock and roll tales. And thank you, Angel and Athena, and all of you guys out there for your support and people that really give a damn. And keep on rocking, man.
Yeah, and thank you again for just helping out our channel and giving us shout outs and just being a good friend. And yes, I mean, this has been and like I said, this is not the last time we will be talking. So yeah, I'm excited to share the video of this live show, which I think was a very special evening anyway. And I'm glad that we witnessed something really, really special and unique, and I could see it in your face. So you didn't give up. You didn't you bared yourself out, and I think people saw that and appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the video footage from Chicago, and thanks for editing that and getting that ready and all that good stuff, bro.
Yeah, so
and likewise, it's a pleasure being friends with you guys too, man. I appreciate you guys coming out in Chicago.
Yeah, and damn, my hair's looking good right now. Sorry, I'm just
It's a non bad hair day. It's a good hair day.
Yeah, so you likewise as well. But anyway, thank you, Bloody, and thanks for joining us at Firesign Chats.
Rock and roll, my brother. Hi, Athena. Bye, Athena. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure you subscribe to this channel, please. And give it a thumbs up and a like if you dig it. Or if you don't, that's cool too, but still give it a thumbs up. And also leave a comment, man. Yeah, it sounds cheesy, you know, the algorithm, but that stuff's all true, guys. And let's help out Angel. Subscribe, like, comment, share if you would. Thank you. Oh, what the fuck? I cannot find my car keys all of a sudden, dude, and I have not left the car. That's weird. Anyway, now I'm tripping. I get freaked out real easy, bro. I got really bad nervous system. Yeah, my mom used to be a real nervous person, and I am too. And shit starts freaking me out. I start losing my shit. Is this my keys? Nope. What the fuck? All right, dude, I'm going to let you go. I'm having a little anxiety attack here. Wait, here they are. Fuck me. Okay.